the number one album you just had right now, I paid for you to have a number one album. You didn't,
Huh.
you know what I'm saying, honestly earn a number one album over the weekend, my boy. I paid for that shit. I never said that to him. I never told him that, you know, 'cause we just got the plug on that.
Go on.
You never earned a number one album. I spent 50 extra grand buying motherfucking streams, $50,000 buying streams for you.
I'm glad this call isn't recorded.
Right. And Cash know the same plug, so Cash could have did the same thing. But Cash, like, let it go. Cash just, like, spent down, like, man.
I mean, definitely one of the boldest strategies in the past 2 weeks was Young Thug deciding to take his career into his own hands and see how quickly he could speed run through PR.
You tell me that's not going platinum first week if we drop it?
Bro, that's not touching 100K first week, bro.
That's not dropping 100K?
No.
Oh, Drake this?
Bro, everybody coming at Drake, bro. No,
Exactly. Yeah, that could be true. That could be true.
And look, obviously because you had so much controversy around it, you had so many different news stories going on about the different conversations that were happening, the different people that were being dissed, the different just things that were being revealed throughout in responses to it. I feel like there's one very important piece of news that has kind of gotten swept under the rug a little bit just because of everything else and all of the other noise around the Young Thug leaks. And that is the question, how much does a number one album cost? Well, according to Young Thug, it's $50,000. That's right, 50,000 stacks. And you can push an album ahead of The Weeknd, ahead of Morgan Wallen, and claim that number one spot. Now look, I know that Young Thug's bitter. He's in jail, he's talking his ish right now. But at the end of the day, this is very, very revealing. Because you gotta remember, this conversation is not something that he knows is going to get leaked. This conversation is not something he even knows is being recorded. You have an artist literally admitting to botting. A mainstream artist admitting to paying for streams in order to inflate metrics, in order to inflate popularity. Now, why is this important? Because it's the tip of the iceberg. If an artist admits to this, with his resources, with what he's capable of, and think about how easy it was for Young Thug to do this. Well, what do you think is going on around the industry? What do you think is happening at these major record labels who have a vested interest in making sure that their top artists get the number one spot, that their top artists outperform metrics because they want to generate more profits, they want to generate more revenues? Do you not think that if it's accessible to Young Thug, it's not accessible to these major record labels? And it's not like there haven't been issues of paying for streams and botting in the past. Outside of rap, just go look at the world of K-pop. Sajeki has been an issue for a very long time. There was the huge controversy with HYBE labels, the huge controversy with BTS, and the questions about artificial streaming and enhancing and doing things that kind of move in the gray area in order to increase chart performance. In May 2024, you had 11 individuals that were indicted, including an entertainment CEO, for chart manipulation. So if you think this is something just specific to Young Thug, it's not. It's not even just specific to the world of K-pop. And speaking of artificial streaming, this is something that streaming services themselves are struggling to cope with and are battling each and every day. Deezer admitted that in April, over 20,000 created AI tracks were uploaded every single day to their platform. Now that's one thing, having fake music and fake artists uploading and oversaturating the platform. The problem is that these artificial artists often take it a step further in that they bot farm. They artificially then stream their numbers in order to increase and boost popularity, trying to take advantage of loopholes, hoping that they don't get caught within these streaming sites because there's so many of them. It's happening all of the time. It's a massive, multi-billion-dollar industry. So if they're just sneaking away little bits, little hundreds, little thousands here, over time that does accumulate. But we're talking about implication-wise, millions upon millions of dollars that is lost, that could go to regular artists, actual human beings, that is now going to artificial bots, that is now going to these AI created individuals. And it's not a problem that's going away. It's only getting worse and worse. You remember Michael Smith in North Carolina? He was charged and indicted for artificial streaming, for creating AI music and using these bot farms to enhance numbers. And see, here's the problem. It's the same issue as Payola, which the record labels use as a tactic for many, many years. They would pay DJs. They would pay the radio stations. They would bribe them, give them kickbacks in order to play their artists, in order to keep spinning the artists that they wanted to be most popular. And the thing about human behavior is that we are social creatures. When something is popular, when something is buzzing, when it looks like it's performing well, that creates a sense of curiosity. We all can't help but go, why is this so popular? Why is this doing so well? And that makes us tune in. Thus, you can create popularity out of artificially creating popularity. And labels know this. Artists know this as well. And we're living in a world where as technology advances, it becomes less about human interactions. You know, everything is turning towards automated systems. Everything is turning towards algorithms. So if you can game an algorithm, if you can make an algorithm think that something is performing really well according to metrics, that it's very popular, well, then there's a good chance that that algorithm starts to boost it and starts to do the work for you. Right? There's a chance that all of a sudden you can start getting placed in algorithmic playlists on these different sites, that you can start even getting an editorial playlist, right? Because of the popularity, because of the growth of it all. So basically, you've paid for your boosting. You know, you paid a certain amount to get it above a certain threshold, but then that popularity takes off and then it pays for itself 3, 4, 10 times what you paid in the first place. And if you want another example, then look no further than the highly publicized, highly covered Drake UMG lawsuit. Now look, I've given my thoughts on this lawsuit many times. How I don't like the implications that it has on freedom of speech. How I don't like the implications that it has on battle rap. The implications that it has on hip hop. Hell, the implications that it has on streamers, on reactors like myself, and the future issues and consequences of what we have to deal with copyright, with all of that from UMG that I'm currently fighting, that I'm currently in legal battles with. All that I predicted when I made my videos, months ago, it's all coming to fruition. But there is one part of this lawsuit that I do find very, very interesting. And that has to do with UMG and the bots. Because let's face it, Drake was the golden boy of UMG for many, many years. He was at the top. He was privy to some high-level contacts, to some high-level connections, and witnessing some things behind closed doors. If there's anyone who's going to understand the inner workings of one of the most powerful multinational record labels in the world, it's Drake. So if he really wants to pin down this artificial streaming, if he really wants them to open up the books and be more transparent on their practices, sometimes there's no smoke without fire. And I just wish that this was happening under a different guise, that this was happening not under the battle, not under the rest of the lawsuit and the implications and everything else that's put in it. Because this is honestly an issue. This is a problem that needs more transparency. It needs more transparency from record labels. It needs more transparency from the streaming sites themselves in terms of how they process this, how it works, how things are actually counted and measured, and how the metrics happen. Because it needs more people talking about it. It needs more public scrutiny. Because when you have that, and when you have legal implications, that will force these massive distributors, these massive streaming sites, like the Deezers, like the Apple Music, like the Spotifys, to invest more in safeguarding their platforms. Because AI and artificial streaming slips through the nets each and every day. And it's a constant game of cat and mouse. But it's all business at the end of the day. And the problem is that they continue to want to run automated systems because obviously you don't want to take on human capital. You don't want to take on human costs. That's going to take a lot more in development. But in terms of morality, in terms of actual safeguarding, in terms of just protecting artists, especially independent artists, independent creators from being pushed out of oversaturated markets by artificial artists, it's worth it. But it's only worth it when their bottom line becomes affected. It's only worth it when it becomes such a big enough PR nightmare for them that they have no other options but to address it. And I think one of the other problems that you have when it comes to artificial botting is that often the waters can get muddy. Because as we know, stands are stands for a reason. Fan bases can get fanatical. They can be very dedicated to their artists. So when another artist that they're competing with starts to outperform their artist, well, it's an easy fix to just turn and blame artificial streaming. It's like the boy who cried wolf. And then everybody starts crying wolf. Everybody starts claiming, well, this is fake. This is fake. This is fake. I don't trust these numbers. The K-pop example from earlier. I mean, that is huge in K-pop where one group starts outperforming another group. So then that group of stands turns around and goes, well, they must be paying for streams. They must be manipulating the charts and using Payola. And then you get to a point where nobody takes it seriously. You get to a point where nobody trusts the numbers. Nobody trusts popularity. And you're already seeing it. You're seeing artists who are apparently doing such good numbers, and yet they struggle to sell tickets at their shows. They struggle to have actual humans come out and support them because a lot of bots are listening to them. Which kind of brings up the question in the modern era, do numbers even matter? Because media outlets continue to focus on them. We continue to talk about how a record performed, but at the end of the day, if a certain percentage of that record is getting artificial streams, whether or not it can't be helped, why count it? Because how much does it cost you to make a #1 record? But I don't know. I thought that was an interesting point of discussion. Obviously, I'm not a huge Young Thug fan, so while everything was dropping, I didn't sit here and keep covering it because I didn't see the need. And also, I'm not mainly a drama channel. I'm someone who reacts and breaks down to music, and that's always my primary aim and engagement. But I really thought that this was a very important matter, and it opens up an interesting discourse and discussion. And yeah, I wanted to cover it. So let me know what you guys think down below. If you have any more resources that you want to share, any thoughts on this that you think contribute or help, please comment down below. Let me know. Also, I'm getting ready to go on tour, guys. I got a Denver show coming up on Saturday, and this is the thing that you don't get to see behind the scenes. Like, I'm constantly juggling plates. When I have to get ready for these live shows, that takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of build-up. So I don't get to sit here and make the same amount of content as maybe some of my other fellow creators. Like, I'm always juggling. And then when I go away, I'm trying to work ahead on content to get ahead on stuff so I can cover things while I'm gone. But yeah, I'm excited for my Denver show. I'm excited for my DC show. It's going to be great to get back out on the road, to meet you guys in person. Again, there's nothing like it, man. It's going to be special, so I'm excited for that. So stay tuned. And as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Be sure to subscribe, notifications on. It all helps. I constantly grind. I constantly work for you guys. All right, everyone. Stay safe, stay positive. Take care of these. Take care of these. I'll catch you again.
You know I'm going now with a bang.
Bang,
Tell them leave the bag in a bang.
bang,
You should check the tags where we hang.
hang,
You know I'm going now with a
bang,
Know I'm going now with a bang.
bang.
Tell them leave the bag in a bang.